Yeah. The other thing is, I wanted to announce. I posted it on my community page. Got rather exciting announcement to make. For me, it's exciting. I'm overwhelmed. I'm blown away. I'm honored. O.R.d. 3. He invited me to come live on his channel tonight at 9:00. I guess kind of like an interview / just comparing notes with one another. Guys, you know me. I've never done anything like this before, and I'm just blown away. When he offered me to come on his page, I was just I'm like, wow, what? I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I didn't think it would go this far. I didn't think it would be this awesome. You know what I don't know the words. How I'm trying to explain it, other than I'm so blown away and honored that somebody would even look my way and invite me to come on their channel. Like,
What's up, everybody? Let's add ourselves to the camera there, brother. Hey, I want to say something. Will, that was so cool of you to mention me in your video, and doesn't happen too often. There's a few of you out there. I know that my brother Jared, he talks about me a bit, quite a bit actually. Sheldon, how's it going, man? And let's see who else is here. Janelle, so, and anybody else who will eventually show up. Yeah, this is going to be cool, man. Will's just discovered him. We just discovered each other. I've been watching some of his videos and his some of this work he's doing over there in Maryland. But before that, I want to just remind you guys, tomorrow I got a pretty cool show. There's a guy who goes by Robbie Olson, or Olden, or whatever he calls himself. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. This guy's pretty cool, and we're going to be talking about grounding and grounding through the trees, and it's going to be called "The Trees Are the Keys." And I guarantee you that a big part of all our research when it comes to Bigfoot and cryptids and everything else, trees are a big part of the factor, a big part of the equation. Is a better way of saying it. Then Thursday, David Thundercloud, and I've known David since probably 2017, and on and off we've interacted on Facebook. We never really got around to actually talking to each other. I'm hoping finally get a chance to do that. Another guy from Maryland. So if this week's going to be dudes from Maryland or from Oklahoma, and who else is going to show up? Yeah, Dave's got some pretty impressive image, and we're going to talk. Hopefully, we're going to talk in a deeper level about our Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Sebe research, its connection with the sacred ground, and the trees, and forest spirits, and all that kind of stuff. So, should be a good conversation. And David's got a lot of experience. If I'm not mistaken, and if I'm wrong, please forgive me if you hear this, David, but I believe you even went all the way out to Colorado to hang out with Mark over there, Colorado Bigfoot, a few years back, and had your own personal experience, huh? So, who else we got going on here? Anybody else here? Davy Jones. Thank you for being there, David Jones. So, Will, thank you for being with me. Thank you for bringing up me and it's a big deal to me. Is because of how many guys take for granted the fact. I think a lot of people think that like for me, as for instance, I know about to get numbers or pad the numbers. I'm not exploiting you on that. Well, I am exploiting. If anything about you, Will, it's going to be your research because we're
Thank
both
you.
researchers.
Yeah.
Both investigators, and we both had our own encounters and experiences, and so I want to know yours, not because I'm out there to try to, you know, have a bunch of people following me. Far from it. I'm just more interested in the truth. So, and the numbers you can see on YouTube, the numbers speak for themselves. So, it seems like every time I have somebody on my show, 3 people drop off because they don't agree. But I
Yeah.
don't care if they don't. I mean, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but listen, this is it's always been about the pursuit of the truth for me. If people
Yep.
share the journey, I'm most appreciative of it. If it's time to move on, I understand. There's not a lot of people that cannot stomach or understand or can accept what we're going to talk about. And it's just the way it is, and it always will be that way. And I can't take it personally. So that's right,
That's right.
Sheldon. Nothing to prove but the truth. So, brother, first of all, thank you once again. Uh, let's tell us a little bit about who you are. And before we get into
Um,
what is a dude from your neck of the woods, figuratively speaking, even think about going out in the woods and looking for Sasquatch? Why?
well, it started all back in 2018. I was a big hunter. I hunted hot and heavy 6 days a week. As much as my job would let me, but I was still getting it in 6 days a week. And I was doing a lot of deer hunting. Um, and I was jumping all around from archery to gun to rifle to pistol. I mean, whatever I could get my hands on, I was getting into it, and I was traveling all over the place to do it. And I was having like things going on around me, but I was so involved in what I was doing with the hunting scene that I just blew it off. I knew it wasn't right, but I didn't pay any mind to it because, for one, me and you discussed it a while back, I think online or something. I can't remember when we did, but anyway, we talked about it. Some back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, you just didn't talk about this stuff.
Oh no.
And you know, you go walking into a hunting shop in Southern Maryland and say, "Hey, I just seen this big hairy guy running through the woods naked," or they're gonna look at you or run you out of the gun club or run you out of the hunting store and saying this guy's crazy. He needs to go to to the fifth floor. So I was paranoid by that fact alone that and I've always wanted to ask my dad, like, have you ever seen anything crazy? Because he did a lot of hunting. Well, I just got the nerve to ask him like 3 months ago, and he like sat down and just told me this whole mess of stuff that he's witnessed in the woods, and I was just blown away. I was because he's not a person that walks around and has many conversations. He's a very quiet, humble man, and man, he blew me away. I had no idea. He kept it very, very quiet, and I found out why. He didn't want to ruin my hunting experiences by scaring me, and he didn't know I was having experiences. So he would have never scared me. I would have been tuned in years ago if I had known just by someone else coming to me and saying, "Hey, I've seen that too." But
Yeah.
I actually started getting interesting in doing my own thing. I started watching Long Island Bigfoot, Mike, and when I started watching him, it wasn't about what he was
I've been
researching.
teasing. I gotta do this before we go. I've been teasing
Okay.
Mike for the past couple of weeks. Mike, you're avoiding me. Why don't you want to come? I'm just kidding. I give him a hard time. Whether he wants to come on my show or not, it's just no big deal. So I still
Actually,
respect him. Much love to you, Mike. Long Island Bigfoot. No problem. Go ahead.
I actually talked to Mike earlier. He said that he's going to get up with you and that you guys had already talked and stuff. But Yeah, he's been busy. He's got a large family, and you know,
It's all cool, man. That's how I see
yeah,
it. You know what I mean? I understand. I've been paying attention to what he's up to. So it's a lot of
yeah.
effort. It's to have a family. You know what it is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
got five of my own. Yep.
yeah, there you go. So no one needs to say anything to you. You already know. So
Yep.
well, if that's an interesting, so what do your children think about that? I gotta hear about this. 5 children, Daddy
Um.
Bigfooter. What's that all about?
Well. Well. Okay. They start off from the ages 27. I got all boys and one girl, and then I have grandkids. And my oldest boy, he hunts. He hunts like I did. He followed right in my footsteps. He does a lot of hunting. Well, I tried to keep my channel from him. I didn't want him to know. And
Yeah, good luck on that
yeah,
one.
well,
I'm
he
sorry to
seen
laugh.
it one night. And
Uh,
the reason for that was the same as my dad's. Yeah, I didn't want to scare Billy out of the woods. And not that I thought that it would, I just didn't want to take that chance. I didn't want to ruin his hunting mood, or I didn't want him to go in the deer stand every morning or every evening and go, oh man, I'm not going to see a deer, and I got to be worried about this hairy guy or this weird being coming, because it's not just about Sasquatch or Bigfoot. I see so many different things in the woods that that had me concerned for him to be just drug right in it without explaining some things, or you know
yeah.
and man, he took right onto it. It surprised me, and he didn't stop hunting, so it actually worked out.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I think I think it's being a father and talking about that is an important thing. So that's changed the dynamics a little bit. That doesn't
Yeah,
mean he's not going to have his encounter, and that will change things though. But that's his
yeah,
own personal journey. It's interesting when you look about the history of a lot of the indigenous uh, populations throughout the North America, and it was part of their rites of passage was, and as children from a very early age told them the truth about what's going on in the woods spiritually and about Sasquatch and Bigfoot and all these other things. And so they were prepared. In fact, they were expected at certain points, which I hope we can get back. You talked about MT, and I'm going to come back onto the show if he so will, if he's willing, and talk about the last show he did with cameraman Jack, because it's very interesting watching that. And although it was about an hour or so video, just imagine this, and not to take anything away from the two gentlemen, because they're still doing more than 90% of everybody else out there in the world. Um,
that's right.
Growing up as a young boy in a Cherokee tribe or a Ojibwe tribe, or didn't matter, they all had some of their rites and rituals in which in which they were expected at like around 12 years of age to go some sacred place by themselves with nothing more than say a bear skin or whatever. That's it. No water, no food for 3 days. Not
Wow,
not for 1 hour or a couple hours. By themselves, by the way, at 12.
wow.
That's how bad ass they were back then. I mean, they were
Yeah,
tough as nails, and that was all part of the ritual and rites of understanding the creation and all that that's around them. So they call it the dark night of the soul, right? But
right.
then generically, I think that it came from Young. But regardless of that, it's the same thing, and that's one of the things that many of us never had in this modern life style that we live in, and that's not to have that sacred rites rituals. I'm thinking about this now, and I try to push religion on anybody, but think about this: Jesus spent 40 nights, 40 days in the wilderness, right? Right.
Yeah.
Numerous sages and wise men and women had their time alone in the wilderness or in God's creation. And people say,
Mhm.
well, that's not that big of a deal. No, it is that big of a deal. I'm not talking about camping out with you bringing your instant coffee and portable water and a nice tent and all that. I'm talking about the real deal, which means going there with nothing but the clothes on your back.
Right.
for 3 days and 3 nights as a 12-year-old and expected to be in one sacred. Usually, time to have these places are high places that you could see all the forest all around them. There'll be a stone circles and a cairn in the middle of it with like a raised kind of almost like a well, dry well type of thing. And
Right.
anyways, I'm just saying. So I think what a lot of us are going through, ironically, I'm going to go right back to what you were talking about, is that whether we're, and it might take a half a century for it to finally happen for us at some level, is that we're having our own experience
Right.
of
Yep.
what's normally taught and expected and accepted by everybody. And I mean everybody, I mean to like, you know, of course, they labeled them as pagans, the country folk and all that kind of stuff, or savages, right? But the
Yeah.
truth of the matter, there's nothing savage about it. It was just they're connecting with to the creator's creation. So here you are, and if I'm not mistaken, let's talk about this because this started out, and it sounds like you're pretty close to my age then, because I'm 55. You got at least in your late 40s, right?
I'll be I'll be 50 March 15th.
Yeah. So it's funny, just about yeah. So it happens a lot of times in our late 40s too. So this traumatic change. So I think it was 2018. You said is when you had your encounter. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about that, and we'll go in from there. Okay. Because obviously
Okay.
this is the life changing event. So
Yeah.
just talk about it if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, I'll give it to you like this. I'll tell you what kind of hunter I was, and it'll give you a little bit of clarity as far as how my luck was. And I'm not saying that I had a sighting because of my luck, but I will say that everything I did in the woods, it all came to me. I didn't have to hunt. If I went in a stand and I picked an area, I killed a big buck, or I killed whatever I was aiming to kill. And I don't like using that word loosely like that, but I was in there to do that, so that's what I was doing. So I killed number 5 state buck, 6 pointer. I killed number 3 8. No, number 5, number 3, yes. And after that, I just numerous white deer. I think I've killed 7 all white deer, and they were supposed to be like 7 years of bad luck. It's not the case. And hunters will tell you that they live by it. They swear by it that they're bad luck animals, but they're not. And just so to get back to my sighting, I felt like it was the same kind of scenario. I knew I had some crazy things going on where I was hunting. I was hunting right on the Chesapeake Bay. I mean, literally sitting in a deer stand, looking out about 100, 150 yards, looking across the bay.
Okay.
And very marshy area, secluded, no homes, no house, no dwellings, no working dwellings. Um, and I was hunting off an old airstrip that was, I think, the last time it was in service was like in the late 60s. And I killed many monsters out of that place, and I mean, what I mean is 9 typical bucks, 200 plus pounds, a couple of them 250 pounds. And that day, I seen a monster in there. He was in the teens, like 13, 14 point buck that I
Oh,
think I
really?
got him later on. Yeah, I
Nice.
think it's the one that I shot later in life, but
Who would
it
have thought
looked
it
like the
was your
same
dad
one.
in Maryland? Go,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, and it's a little neighborhood. It's a little peninsula where I hunt. It's one way in, one way out, and I'll give you the location. It's in Shadyside, Maryland, Columbia Beach on the bay.
Okay.
And the farm I used to hunt was 440 some odd acres. Now it's owned by the state and county. But when I hunted it, it wasn't. It was private land. But so nobody was hunting it then, but me and like 3 other hunters. We had the whole almost 500 acres to ourselves. And so I'll say, okay, so that was the first week of shotgun season when I had my sighting. 3 days prior to the opening day of shotgun, I had something run past me. We had just put the stand up. We were back there on our four wheelers, and I went back again just to double check everything, make sure the ratchet strap had the stand tight to the tree, and I'm standing up in the ladder stand, and something come past my stand like a 747 jet. And I mean, it come past me wide open. It scared me so bad I almost fell out of the stand. And I had a sidearm on me. And the first thing I did was grab it, because it was not a normal sound. And like I said, I couldn't see what it was. I didn't see it after that. I didn't hear any other weird noises after it blew past me. Well, lo and behold, 3 days later, the same way it came past me is where I had this big guy walk out on me. And when he walked out, it was like nobody's business. I mean, like I tell everybody, he walked out, and I say he because he just had a mammoth chest on him. You could see every muscle, the mass in his shoulders up, like no neck. I mean, just a monster. But he was jet black, and what I noticed weird about him was he had a white stripe that ran up off his right shoulder, and it ran up his neck to, up under his ear, and that's where it stopped. And it was about 3 inches wide. And I've never seen pictures of one like that. You hear people say they have a white stripe up their back or white stripe somewhere, but I've never seen just one thing. It was almost like it was war paint. You know what I mean? Like it was put on there. I don't know if it was fur but that's the first thing I locked eyes with on him when he walked out. And then I instantly noticed he wasn't paying any attention to me.
Locked eyes.
And yeah, when he spun around to go back is when he looked at me and locked eyes with me. And I about messed myself right there.
And most people don't have that. I've had that once. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. Keep going,
okay,
please.
Well, okay. When he walked out, we were doing a mid-afternoon hunt because the deer were nocturnal then. And so what that means, they move all night, sleep all day. But deer usually feed 2, 3, 4 times a day. And then it all depends on the weather. So we said, you know what? We're going to go in the woods like 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to hunt till like 2 or 3 o'clock or until dark, depending on if anybody fires a shot or kills a decent one. One person shoots out of the 3, we'll just come out. Well, never got a chance to do that because I had that sighting. I wouldn't come back out. I stayed in there until dark, and then I was scared to death to turn my light on because I was scared if I turned my light on, not understanding this creature or this humanoid. I say it's a humanoid. I mean, I don't see anything alien about it. I don't know.
You see
maybe that's another.
Mike said, he said about you, you're an absolute legend.
I don't know about that. I was scared, legend.
Mike missed it. I was. What was I doing? Doing the same thing, wasn't I? I like teasing them. When are you gonna get on my show, Long Island? You avoided me, man. Thanks for. Anyways, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding, man. Just having fun. Okay.
So, when he turned around to go back, and I don't understand why he turned around. Here's my honest opinion on why he did what he did. I feel like he watched me that whole season, and God only knows. I mean, I know now that he probably has been watching me for a few years by this point, and I think he had finally either got a vibe from me that I was ready to see him. And when he turned around and he looked at me to go back in the woods, he stopped, looked at me, locked eyes with me. And I just felt like I was melting into the deer stand. And it was probably all in about 3 to 4 seconds. And then he just made like 5 major strides. And I lost him in the bullbriars and the crickets. And it was like a wall. It's real thick in that down on that marsh area before you reach the marsh. But leading up to it, it's real heavy woods. And that's another reason why there's such big bucks in that area, because it's so thick in there. And people don't walk down on those edges where it's real wet, But I used to get right in the middle of it, with waders or, however I could. And it just took off from there. And I had another sighting down there, but further down, and I was walking, but I only got to see it from its backside. And I don't think it was the one I originally saw. And I caught that one either eating shellfish, and if it wasn't eating shellfish, it was digging something on the shore edge, but it was down. It was either bent over or kneeled down. I couldn't tell because the marsh reeds are so high, but it was so black that I spotted it right away. Very big.
Tell me about the eyes.
The eyes on my first sighting was yellowish, like, and I'll be honest with you, wasn't very a friendly look. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it wasn't, oh hi, how are you? It was like, yeah, it's me.
What was the light like during the time? What was it? What time of the day was it again? I missed the mic.
It was like one about quarter after one, 20 after one, something like that in the
Okay.
afternoon. Yep. And my canopy, I didn't really have a canopy because it's deer season, it's winter time. But in that area, it stays like the trees. The area is like real gloomy. It's like a gray. Everything looks gray or darkish over there. And I don't care if the sun's beaming that day. If it's a bright sunny day, it's just it's a marshy area. You know what I mean by marsh? It doesn't look alive and vibrant. It just looks grayish.
Because
And I don't know.
yellow is very interesting. And during the day, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when I saw my guy close up with the eyes, his
Mhm.
eyes were brown with a dark pupil, but huge almond shaped eyes, right? Huge.
Yeah,
And the biggest
yeah.
mouth you ever seen in a nose. And you could see it was like a cross between human and something what we would call primate, but I think that's just because of our own ignorance. But you said yellow,
Hmm.
and so I just wondering. I'm just wondering, what time of the year was it? Oh, it had to be fall. So it kind of blend in
It
with
was
the
no.
leaves. Did it kind of blend in with the leaves?
No, he
No.
blended in more with the gray.
No,
The
I'm talking
gray.
about the eyes. I'm talking about
Oh, the eyes. The
eyes.
eyes. They're not like canary. They weren't canary yellow. They were like a. I'm not going to say like a light copper, but yellow comes to mind because it was like. Man, I don't know. Almost okay, like a Carhartt brown. You know what I'm saying? But it's more like it's a lighter tint. I called
So
it yellow.
so it would blend in quite well in the surroundings, basically.
Yeah, you're not going to see whites. You're going to see what I saw was yellows, and that's what drew me to his eyes. That and the pupil was so dark that like I was saying, I didn't feel good coming from his eyes. I just felt like I'm here, and what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean?
Well, I bring this up only because I'm starting to notice something that I can't say for sure is the case, but it seems like there might be a pattern that I'm seeing through others who have the same who see the eyes. So my
Hmm.
eyes looked a lot like, and I've had them film with eyes, and their eyes are the grayness bark of the trees it blends into the bark, or the
Yeah,
brown when they're brown it blended in with the bark of the tree that they're I'll tell you the truth, it came out of, and then and they got 15 feet in front of my face. Uh,
wow.
um, and then I'm hearing you saying yellow that it ties in with the like the leaves and the foliage and that time it's just and so yeah, it's almost like what because you notice you saw the body, so if people talk about cloaking or whatever that if we're right about that, that's time will tell, right? But it's like um obviously the eyes were more cloaking than the body at the time that you saw it, just like for me and just like for other people. It's
Hmm.
just a point. It's a data point. That's all it is. I'm sorry, but I think it's
Well,
important one that when people we put this together and we like not only talk about eye shine, but the color of the eyes when we have, especially daylight sightings like I had and you had and others, because I'm seeing a pattern. Do you see what the pattern I'm saying?
hmm.
Okay, okay. So
And I'll tell you, I can relate to that with a farmer that I just recently talked to. He's 81 years old, and when I told him about my sighting, that's one of the first things he asked me because I didn't know he was going in a direction that he had a sighting. And when he told me that he had a yellow-eyed being in front of him, I like sunk in the seat. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But
Same time of year?
no, this was in October. He told me he's seen this. This one was standing in a tobacco field in Maryland, an old tobacco.
In fall. So the fall leaves have started to change.
Yep.
Change the colors. It could be a correlation. It doesn't mean causation, and it doesn't mean that I'm even on the right path here. But I'm just saying I'm noticing that there possibly is a pattern here that somehow their eyes they
Change
blend
with
the terrain like chameleon. Like a chameleon.
yes.
And I didn't know more if that then. But anyways, we'll talk about something else later. Go ahead. Hey, what's up,
Well,
Brown?
this is what the farmer said to me. His opinion was on it. He's telling me that he talked to another farmer, and this farmer had a sighting at night, and the being that he saw from across the field had red eyes, but it was at nighttime. And this guy that the farmer that I was having the interview with told me that his opinion was that the yellow eyes resemble a daytime light, and the red eyes resemble nighttime because they can see at night. They're more nocturnal than a human. They can see. You know what I'm saying? They can see you, and we can't see them without a light, but they can see us in a pitch black dark. And he believes that red ambient has something to do with that.
Why not? He's
Yeah.
getting good as rest of ours. You know what I mean? So we're just still figuring it out. I mean, but it's a question that I don't hear that much often asked in live shows. People have sighting. The color of the eyes, what time of the year, because I do notice that there's a tendency that there's the eyes almost even before the body it is blending in with the surroundings. So it's pretty supernatural. So you told me it was about 30 yards away from you. Now I know that less than 30 yards is nothing. Although I've had my 2 encounters, and I'm not exaggerating, there were no more than 15 feet in front of my face, but they didn't start out that way. They moved into me but I can tell you I wonder sometimes having the real close encounters like I had, because it's so fast and so shocking that it doesn't have the same kind of impact that those who have one 30 yards away or 50 yards away, or even 100 yards away. What I mean by that is you have enough time to dilate and to home in onto the subject, right? And you're like 30 yards away, which is not that far, folks. It's not. It's only 90 feet, and but still, there's enough distance to say, okay, I can see the subject, and I have enough time to see the subject. How long did you see the subject?
No more than 5 seconds, maybe 8 total with this walk out, turn around, and go back. And that's what I mean. I think that his intention was to show me, hey, I'm here. And it was not real aggressive, but it was, like I said, when he locked eyes with me, it wasn't a nice feeling. It was just like, I'm here.
Did you feel like dread? Or did you? Because I've had encounters where it turned into pure dread. And then other times it was so shocked that I couldn't register anything at the time. You know what I mean? Where were you at on that scale? From nothing.
I started sweating real bad. My hair stood up on my neck, and I got the tingling feeling from the top of my head down into my fingers. And beyond that point, I couldn't tell you. But I do remember my hands tingling because I had a 12 gauge 1100 Remington in my hand with 3-inch slugs, and I knew I had 7 rounds to give him if he come at me, but I knew it wasn't going to stop him. And with being that close too, the closer they are, the quicker it's going to blow through them, and they're just going to get you. A bullet will get you down quicker and harder at a distance than it will close up. So I was paranoid. I was scared to death. I just knew that I was going to have to try to take his head off. That's instant for me because I'm already in the killing style of the lifestyle. I'm thinking that I might have to kill this being. That's the only reason why I thought he'd come out, was to either attack me or until he locked eyes. When he locked eyes, he let me know he was in charge, but he did not show me no threat. So I just remember going almost like a sigh of relief. between my heartbeats and my breath. I mean, I just knew that I was okay. I knew he was not going to come that 30 yards and just come at me,
Yeah.
because the feeling I was getting was more like, I guess it was anxiety. My heart was coming at him. I could feel it. I could feel it through my insulator.
I wonder sometimes if we even have the right words to describe those such a short. We're talking 5 seconds. I don't know how you can register anything in 5 seconds.
Well,
Outside of shock, I mean, I can just like, what? You know what I mean? And by the time that's
yeah,
like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I mean, that's like bam, you know what I mean? But I've had sightings like that where it's like you count 1, 2, 3, and you had this massive thing, and it went like covered 100 yards, damn close to 100 yards. And how the hell that happened?
yeah.
Honestly.
Well, well, I know what you're saying, and see, I think what happened with me was my training kicked in, and I had been through tactical training and background training as far as defending myself and taking things out, people out, and I think that with me having that, I think one, I was able to control myself enough to where I could have that eye contact with him, but yet I knew I was in trouble. At least I thought I was in the very moment of it until he looked at me, because I was already on him when he walked out and he wasn't looking at me. I'd already sized him up and knew that I was going to try to decapitate him with the shotgun. And then I got thinking, wait, if I miss, it's over. So then my whole tactic changed, and that's when he turned around. And when he turned around, he just instantly looked me dead. It was almost like he lifted my chin and made me look at him, and I was done. I was done. If you said now get up and leave, you'd have had to drag me out, because I stayed until dark, and then I was scared to death to leave then, and I would not call anybody because so it was in the 90s. I had a Nextel, and I would not get on it. I wouldn't get on it. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't respond to myself, much less. All I knew was in the back of my mind, I felt him behind me still, but I wouldn't look. And I don't know how long I sat there and did that. Probably until dark. I don't know. That part I don't recall, because I just lost myself in myself once he was gone. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to get down. I didn't want to kill him.
So, I'm going to ask you a question here, not being disrespectful or dissing what you're saying, but I know there's a lot of other things that accompany said Bigfoot, right? Sasquatch, right? Spiritual realm too. And there's a lot of other eyes watching us at the time. And I'm very confident of that because of my own experiences, and I doubt it's uniquely mine. In fact, I know it's not uniquely mine. But so it felt like he was watching you, or something was watching you. I just going to make that.
Oh, it was him.
Because by the way, it could be. I mean, I've had both experiences, so I just for sure. Okay, which one for you? So definitely, you felt like that entity that was watching you the whole time. Okay. Yeah. There's another thing too. Here's another thing too, and it seems like forever. But that's some of the thing about psychology and this thing about memory. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I could tell you my first encounter was several minutes, which is a lifetime. It's like forever and a day with these things, right? For a lot of people, and that one, honestly, there was no dread, no fear, no. Actually, I was more afraid of the guy that was next to me, and it's a long story. Anyway, he wants to hear about my story and go back to my channel and find out. Because I'm standing next to a Crow medicine man that I found out later was practicing very dark arts, and I was more concerned about him than the Bigfoot that was end up 15 feet in front of me. I know that sounds absolutely bizarre, but sometimes I wonder if that Bigfoot actually saved me from that medicine man. But that's another story. Then other times I've had not even a sighting, but know they're there from experience, and had nothing but pure dread cover me. And so then I have to ask myself, is it really them, or the things associated with them, things that are attached to them? We talk about hitchhikers and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of times, well, it's pretty clear to me that they're never alone. Right. And to just sweepingly say that all Sasquatches are wonderful, peaceful, loving creatures. That's not how this creation works. There's good and evil. There's darkness and light. There's night and day. There's no such thing as any entity out there at all that's pure. I'm saying that all you're going to find is a bunch of angelic beings, going to love you and playing harps and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. My point being in all that is when it comes to this, like 5 seconds is very short. The memory is what's very, very long.
I'll never forget
because it happens. You can't, and it happens so fast, so powerful, and so many different levels, from the physical to the psychological to the spiritual. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that last part, the spiritual, but it is part of it. And you cannot, and as you rehearse it over and over again, those 5 seconds, it's the rehearsing it over and over again, breaking it down. What the hell just happened? What did I just see? Right.
Yeah.
And then you had, how many hours are you in the woods in the dark before you left for that?
About an hour.
So that's like 2 lifetimes. I'm just exaggerating, but it's forever to an hour to be in that spot and to think about it over and over again, knowing, okay, sensation, because you bring it up in your videos, sensation. You go out in the woods, right? I told you I watch your videos. So, and you go walk in there and you feel all freaked out when you feel the sensation. You're talking about the hairs in the back of your neck, and like this, like for me, where I feel it is, my spine from here all the way down to about halfway through my spine is where it's like there's like an antenna that's in us.
Yes.
It's connected to them in the spiritual realm. And spiritual realm is a big part of all of this. And it really is. Mm-hmm. Just forget about religion. Right. When we say spiritual realm, we can say, also dimensional realm, interdimensional realm, we can say whatever, because we don't have the right words to say it anyway. So we're just understand it's something, an unseen world that influences our lives. Okay. And sometimes we do see, but it's all around us, and anybody's lived life long enough to knows there's been some weird things that have happened in our lives. Right. So, my point being is when you said that feeling, because, I think for me, it means something to me if we talk about this feeling. What do you mean? Where is it registered in your body? Is it because the other people have it, believe it or not, in different places?
So it resonated. I think it resonated in my nerves originally. Like I had a lost, hollow feeling in my stomach, and then, like I said, with the training, it stopped instantly, and it's almost like I said to myself, like I mind spoke myself and said, "Okay, get it together. You got a task at hand here, and you got to get right on it." So, and that's what I think I did after I sat in the woods for an hour, because I had to put myself in kill mode again just to walk out. I knew that I had to draw a line somewhere and go home. So I said, this is going to be bad, because I had to make the option of, okay, I may have to kill this, leaving out this almost half-mile trail, about a half mile to my truck. So I had made my mind up, and thank God I didn't have to, but I was ready, and it took me that hour to get in that mindset, because it was a beautiful thing. And at the same time, I just wasn't sure. I think it wasn't that he scared me to death. It was more so, it was an unfamiliar situation, and I wasn't expecting it,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense what you're saying. And does it make sense what I'm saying too? It's the time after that's the hardest part.
Yeah,
it's going over and over and over, and what the hell did I just see? What did I just experience? You know what I mean? That's
and
what
you can't talk to nobody,
right? And it seems like forever, right?
Yep.
And it turns out for guys, like heck, it's not really about me, but I just say, you could even be in the company of a whole bunch of Bigfooters, and you can't share a story with them because it doesn't line up with how they say it has to be. Right.
Yep.
So that's why I'm asking these kind of questions. I'm not judging you and saying you're right or wrong, because I know each and every one of us, our experiences are just a little bit different than each other. There's similarities, and there's something we can compare to, but each person's experience is just a little bit different. Except for one thing, it seems to change our lives
Yeah.
forever.
Well, and I'll share something with you. I'll help this probably be a little bit more interesting for you. This is so I can remember telling my grandmother things when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, and the only thing I can remember her response being was, "You're special, son. You're special." And I never knew what to do with that. But I used to tell her I can remember seeing elementals, little beings, little things all around me like I do today. Like I share with the lady that's one of my subs, Linda G, and Trish
Right.
and Janelle. You know, I tell them I see that with my naked eye. I don't need the camera, and they're like, "Wow, you're a magnet." And I feel that way because I can go anywhere. I can walk out this door just like you. You've done your research right off your back porch, and it's the same thing.
That's what it turns into. It's returning to
Yep.
me and a lot of other people's, because they talk about the hitchhiker effect, which I think it's even bigger than that. But that's for another time. Maybe later on talk about. But for me at this point, I don't have to go in a mile in the woods or even 10 feet in the woods.
Nope.
I can go. I film stuff on my back in my neighbor's yards, and there's trees, and it's not.
Yep.
I'm like, and I'm not. It's nothing to brag about. I don't think it's like, wow, I'm something better than this.
No.
I think it's very common occurrence that a lot of people either don't want to talk about or afraid to talk about
Right.
because it's already strange enough, bizarre enough as it is, and now this Fortean journey that we're all on, it's just got even weirder,
Yep.
and it
And
pretty
that's what
close
I
to
like.
home, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I like putting Mike in the equation from Long Island Bigfoot because that's where Mike comes in. It wasn't about Mike looking or talking or teaching about Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever you want, whatever we call it them.
Yeah.
It was more about him teaching me the language of how to look for them and how to get the answers to what I was seeing in the elementals and I guess I don't know what you would call them, like the little people.
When you say little
When I
people, tell me a little more what you mean by the little people, because I feel a lot of different
um,
things, but I just like, what is little people to you? Is it something that looks like
well,
people, or is it something that is something a little different? Well,
just little beings, and I just use that title as I guess the people title is loose, just for the simple fact that they have faces. They might not look like ours, but I guess, the couple that I've seen in full body, they had two legs, two arms, but not the same, not a human face. That I don't
is
know,
it
like a
more
troll.
a troll or alien or troll? Is that okay?
Lot, a lot of
Big,
aliens.
a lot of big nose. Is that what you're talking about? Like the troll, the big nose. I filmed a couple of them.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, and like the ones and they're really famous for having stuff on their heads, like a cap or a funny kind of hat or strange things like stocking caps that like droop over like a Santa hat, crazy thing. Like I've even seen jokers, like a joker face and crazy.
Yeah.
Not crazy to me, but it's crazy to explain.
No, it's in fact, I mean, if you look at Indian lore, going back to the Dark Night of the Soul and that ritual that every 12-year-old or around that age, young man, and some young women, gals, but they emphasized on the young men, they would often after you within that 3-day period or more when they're isolated alone in that sacred spot, that little people would show up that we would
Hmm.
say maybe describe as generically aliens, although I, I'm starting honestly how I see things at this point, and I gotta say I have a conspiratorial mindset to begin with everything that I've studied and researched. There's so many different types of entities, whether it's just shape shifting or something else, and they all look so much different that just a
Yep.
blanket everything is alien, Sasquatch, Bigfoot Dogman, I think does us all a disservice because
Yep.
we're dealing with multiple different things here in this woods and
Yeah.
around us. So
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? So, it's really, I think it's so when you say you saw these little people, we were talking about little entities that had a humanoid type bodies, but they're not alien. They're more troll-like or goblin-like. Was it goblin you said or troll? Goblin-like?
Troll. Well, I've seen probably. Oh my goodness, there's so many. As like this public land that I've been going on just about every other day or just on a weekly basis. I could literally walk in and find a log and sit down and probably show you hundreds. And it's just it'll tire you out. That's how many's in there. And the
Once you
subs can
realize the
vouch. I mean,
atmosphere, if the ether and everything around us is just chock full with different,
yeah.
we call them spirits, right? And people
Hmm.
talk about multidimensionals or dimensions running parallel with us. But listen, I'm not the only person who's filmed stuff in the sky. There's guys out there that are really good and are gifted for some reason to film the stuff that's in the skies. Other people are really good at finding stuff from Google pictures, from satellite imagery, to stuff that's in the water, to
Yeah.
stuff. It goes on and on and on, and it comes to a certain point. You go, how can there? This all can't be pareidolia,
Right.
especially when it looks. I mean, it has definitive features.
Yep.
You know what I mean? At some point, you're just like, how many times do I have to hear pareidolia from the geniuses? I don't want to hear it anymore. I want to hear from the
You're
people
right.
who are really
I
experiencing
100%
stuff,
agree.
really filming this stuff. Listen, it does. None of us are getting any brownie points by talking this way.
No.
The people are
No.
really talking straight about this stuff. There ain't gonna be no big following. I mean, I hope you have a great following. I hope you all guys, but it's not never. If it ever becomes about the following, then you're missing the point of this whole thing, right? It's to understand
Yes.
the reality of a realm around us and what we're dealing with, right? And
Yep.
it's just not just you. I'm doing it. You're dealing with it. Long Island's dealing with it. Damien's dealing with it. And I should mention half. I haven't even. If I haven't mentioned your name, it's not because I have not paid attention. I'm really focusing on what Will's
Yeah.
saying
And
because Will's like yeah, actually Will's kind of a special dude, what I can tell as far in the field, because you're really open, sincere, and you're not jaded yet.
yeah.
And that makes sense because you already started. It's been like a year for you doing research, right? So basically, and so it's
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
getting love right now, man. But wait until you don't get the love, and then
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? It's because that's part of the gig too, man. Because in this dualistic
Oh yeah.
realm, there's good and there's evil. There's joy and happiness, and there's misery and sadness. I mean, it's just how it works. So, it just is. It's not like anything
Yeah.
deep I'm even saying. You just have to be honest about what's going on. Um, so you're seeing little people. You had an encounter. Did those sightings, of little people, happen before Bigfoot or the
Hmm.
Sasquatch sighting, or after?
Every s- ever since I was a young child, 5, 6, ever since I can remember, as
So
far
just a
back as
deep
riding a
cut.
tricycle. Yep, 5, 6 years old.
Mhm.
And I didn't have any shame in my game. I remember telling my grandmother instantly, grabbing her by the leg, saying, "Nanny, did you see that?" And it was like she did, because she used to tell me, "Son, you're gifted. You're special. And I just never,
Do
I
you have
paid no mind to that.
any kind of indigenous blood in you?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't.
I don't know if it even matters, but 'cause my big brother, by the way, he saw the Sasquatch. The guys see out west in Northern California. He had his own sighting with his wife, and in
Mhm.
him growing up, he saw the little people. Right, I never saw the little people. Man, we even got to
I
dream. You had a dream part too. I had a crazy dream
yeah.
tonight too. Where I think I had an out of body experience today. Anyways,
Wow.
he would see these like little green men. Is how he described it, but and I think he just. But he see him at the end of his bed, and he saw it for quite a
Wow.
while until one day it just stopped going. It stopped happening. Now, where the house in Perrysburg, Ohio, was really sacred ground for a lot of indigenous populations around there on the Maumee River. And I just wondered if they built that house on top of some, you know what I mean, some kind of mound or something like that, or something, or bury them. Because, but that could be just nothing. It could just be happening anywhere, all over the place. But why is it that my brothers have that kind of experiences? Jesus Sasquatch. I end up having some experiences. You hear numerous times about people having the stuff in their families. Did you have that happen in your family? Other people have
Yeah.
seen stuff who are close to
Hmm.
you? Who?
My mom, my
Okay.
mother was, yeah, she's to this day, she's a lottery hitter. I mean, everything she touches, it just,
And by
it
the way, I
happens.
apologize if you've said it already. I recognize several times I've asked a question to you. I know you, after I asked you, you actually said it, but I'm trying to put the pieces together. So, yeah, so your mom's having experiences, you're having experiences, and now, when you as a kid. So, were you ever able to talk to anybody about it?
Just a little bit with my mom as I got older. And also, I think at an earlier age, I used to point bad people out. I used to tell my mom, who is he? Why is he here? And I'm talking 8, 9 years old. And I'd say, I don't like him. Something about him. And then there was a couple instances like the very next night, that person would be locked up for something crazy, or they would never come back. It was crazy things like that. But I can still do that to this day. I can be around you for 5 to 10 seconds, and I can get an energy, a vibe from you, and I can tell you instantly whether I like you, don't like you, or if there's something going on about you. And I've never poked on it. I've never tried to research it. I used it to my advantage working the streets, and but I was never wrong either, and literally I was never steered wrong on a person. And it could be anywhere from the way they walk to the way they carried themselves or the way they sounded, the way their voice sounded. I could pick you out of 100.
Right. So you had kind of this intuitive ability to read the situation of people. So that's something that's a little different to you.
That's why it's been so hard. I tell Mike all the time from Long Island Bigfoot, I've never met Mike in person, but when I heard his voice the first time on video, I felt like I've known him for 30 years. And usually when I get that feeling, that person is good as gold. That person is 100%. He's legit. He's thorough. Um, you don't get anything better than that type of person. And I knew that instantly when I heard his voice. And then I heard he was a brother of war. I knew he was a good dude. I knew it instantly. And it all played out. It played out the way I knew him, but I never knew him. You understand what I'm saying? He
Sure.
taught me everything. He answered all my questions. He didn't even know it, about the elementals, about Bigfoot. And I'm in Maryland. He's in New York, and it's like he's having class, and I'm the student, and I'm sitting in there. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I honestly think you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, I
Honestly.
believe that.
I mean, and what I mean by that is if you're going to, especially if you're going to, do your research or invite the experience to become greater in your life,
Hmm.
you're going to have multiple things go on. It's going to be beyond Bigfoot.
Oh, it
Um,
gets overwhelming.
it does, and I don't know if we're going to be able to cover everything. So, let's talk about your dream. Now, you said you
Okay.
had a dream, and you said you were going to share. I listened to you at the show today, obviously, and um, uh, you said you had a dream to share, and um, yeah,
That's
I had
my
a dream
actual
too.
second one. Did you say today?
I woke up this morning, and what I woke up to was this weird dream where I was driving this really bizarre type of. It's like a stick shift, pumpkin orange. It's like it's something for you found from Russia or something like that, right? Some crappy old, cheap, you know. Anyways, contraption. I was having a hard time to stick shift. The stick shift kept on hitting against the driver passenger's door, and I kept I was out of control driving, and then I got onto the bridge, and I got into this like blue bridge, a blue and silvery bridge, and it's like going up higher and higher, and I'm like, where the hell am I going? And and I woke up, right?
Yeah.
And I'll just keep mine short so you can talk about yours. And my legs kicking and all that, and I learned that when you have, at least when I'm having them, it's usually because I'm going higher or going like I'm like floating above the trees, or this time is the first time there's ever like a bridge. I don't know what's
Right.
symbolic about that, but it was like, I woke up and my legs kicking, and I hear from other people who have out of body experiences. They say that that's what happens when the soul snaps back into the body. Your body jerks, you know what I mean? Your arms and your legs and stuff like that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I know one thing. I have the impression that it's very much real. So, but anyways, let's listen to your story, because I started, this past month I've had a lot of very supernatural things happen in my life. Things filmed, dreams, and when you said that you had a dream, and then because you're like the third person in, say, the past 2 weeks that I have been interacting with, two or like you the first time, right? And it's basically the first time I really interacted. I said a couple of days ago, it's about the idea of doing a show together, saying similar things, having dreams. And I do believe the spiritual realm is totally connected with all this stuff. And anyways,
Oh
tell us
yeah.
about your dream, please.
All right. Well, this dream is it was my second dream. This dream was, um, I don't know, not very familiar with everything that happened to me. It wasn't much, but it was enough for me to go, hmm. But my first dream I had was at the public land. I was sitting on a log with an entire clan of Sasquatch, and they were talking to me, telling me pretty much that they digged me, and they were okay with me, and that they were trying to tell. I was trying to get a message from them, but I couldn't understand it. And then I woke up. There were some other things I can't remember right now, but it was more or less that they were there for me, and I know what it was. They were watching over me, and they were doing the best they could. And because every time I'll go in the woods up there, I've always got dogmen around me, and my subs are seeing it. I'm seeing it. And the dream was they came to me and said, "Hey, we're doing the best we can, but kind of watch your six, watch your back. We're doing everything we can. You got to do your part too." So, and I don't know if they were just telling me to don't go in a certain area, or if you do, double down. I don't know, but I do. I hit all four corners now. When I go into an area I don't feel comfortable with, I make sure that I watch everything, just because of that dream. And now,
when did that dream happen?
oh man, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I'm not good with time.
It's okay.
Maybe 2 weeks.
February. It happened in February.
Okay, yeah.
February, would it be, or March, or January?
No, it was February. Maybe in the middle of February.
Yeah, there was a lot. By the way, there was a lot of things, planet alignments, star alignments, all sorts of crazy stuff going on. I've had a crazy sighting of an orb, which first I thought was one of those balloons on the 12th. An hour before
I had one today.
Text. Yeah, I had one. I had my son with me, so it was Friday night, and I'm looking at like a flash. You ever see, you guys? You can was hearing this. You guys ever seen one of those orbs where it's like a flash? It was an orange light. It's and it was gone. And I'm like, but it was like 20 feet in the air, and I'm like, there's no way that was somebody's flashlight, somebody's cigarette, or anything like that. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I've never seen the orange, but I've seen the white flash, but I've seen it out 50 to 80, 75, 80 yards out in the woods, like nothing around, and just I'd catch it at the corner of my eye, a flash. And usually after that, I'd feel my heart race, or I'd hear my ears would start ringing. But the second dream was last night, or sometime through the morning. and I was walking down the same path in public land where I was today, where I videoed that video, and I seen this arm, this big arm, and this big hand reaching out, and it would be just like if you reached to the screen and grabbed me by the chest by my shirt, but only this arm and this hand and this arm, it reached inside of me and it was pulling me, and I kept going with the pull of the tug of the fingers of the hand reaching through my chest and in my inner body. And it was like, come this way, but it wasn't being said to me. It was just, I could feel the pull.
Mhm.
And I got down by the water where there's the marsh edge where I walk along the side there. There's a creek that runs up in there. And when I walked down to the water, I seen the face of what was grabbing me. And when I looked down, it was a Sasquatch. And I woke up.
That's fascinating.
But it was, I felt it inside of my body. I felt it grabbing me and pulling me. Almost like if you got a chain around your neck and or your shirt and they're pulling, tugging. That's what it felt like. But it felt like it had my innards, my inside pulling me.
Was
And I was gasping.
James says he's seen it. Um, but so it's threatening to you. So Sasquatch, Dogman was protecting you, but Sasquatch was threatening you in the dreams.
Sasquatch was protecting me and Dogman was threatening me. Yes.
No, okay, so I got it all wrong. So there was a clan, your first dream 3 weeks ago, that was with a clan of Dogmen, right?
No, Sasquatch.
Okay, so for some reason I got Dogman all that. And then this time around it was a Dogman that was doing it.
No, it was another Sasquatch.
So both are Sasquatch. Okay.
Yep. And it was like this the second go around was like it was another warning. Like it was leading me down to the edge. Almost what I got out of it was I'm gonna show you this area and I'm gonna show you who I am. And I'm letting you know this because if you come down here or in this general area again, you may be in danger. And it may be 50 yards from where my second gifting area was. But here's the thing. It's exactly where I put the first jar of peanut butter from out of the teepee where I moved it to, and I showed everybody today. It was down in front of that where I was drugged down to the water. That's what woke me up. That's what made me realize that hey, I could be in trouble right here if I don't watch my six the
Right.
next time I go in.
So can I share with you a couple of things about this?
Sure.
How I see things, kind of. Synchronicity is one thing that I'm discovering when it comes to Bigfoot researchers when we start interacting with each other. And even though you're in Maryland and I'm in Ohio, and I'm going to talk about Jared, who's over in British Columbia. I had a dream about 2-3 weeks ago, Sasquatches, and they were the rusty brown color, right? Very vaporous and very spiritual. As I was laying down the side of the road, and they were passing me by, and I explained the whole stream to Jared, and then he ends up filming a clan of dogmen in front of. He didn't even know it, as usual. He didn't know they were right in front of him, right? Then you got a great picture of it. There's a video I have on my YouTube channel where to talk about it, and they have like this one, and he's like, the dogman has his arm. Let me say first, I can't take the camera right. Anyways, his arm is extended out, right, like this. You can see it. It's clear as day, and that's a dogman, and it's a spirit, and it's jet black. And then you and I start talking, and then we both have a dream within that 24-hour period, basically, maybe 48 hours, 24 hours for sure. And you have this experience and about being pulled in. And I'm having the experience of. Now, you might say that there's no correlation to what's the big deal about dreaming. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have too many dreams. So when I do have dreams, it usually has some kind of association with something that's going on somewhere down the road. And usually something's going to happen. And so,
Yep.
You
nailed it.
So probably, I mean, I want to say trust your gut feelings, right? And all that kind of stuff. But, what would it actually be? like for instance, like I said, my first encounter, close up encounter with a Sasquatch or Bigfoot or Ohio grassman or whatever. And I don't know if we asked necessarily the same things as the boys out west have, but um, it was big. It was damn close to 10 feet
Yeah.
tall. Uh, I believe after retrospect and talking to Jared, he didn't bring it up. It's just a conversation that helped me to see it clearly that Sasquatch, that Bigfoot, actually probably saved my life from the dude who was standing next to me.
Yeah.
So, and I can't tell you the truth about exactly what happened. You'll find out down the road. Something will let you know. But our biggest enemies are not Bigfoot or dogmen. It's each other.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. And so who knows when you're tromping around in their woods, who else is tromping around there too, right? You know what I mean? So it
If you've
sounds to
seen
me.
some of the things, yeah, I follow you. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go ahead.
If you've seen some of the things I've seen on the streets and the things that people are capable of, yeah, I believe it 100%. You're right. And well, I know it to be fact, but there that saying is we are our worst enemies. And boy, that is very true, what you're saying. And that's what worries me. That scares me more than anything that I've seen so far, or come in contact with. What I haven't come in contact with is what worries me, because what usually lurks in the dark is usually something a whole lot more than we can handle, besides a Sasquatch or you know even a dogman.
Right. And one of the things I've been filming and seeing are jet black arms, these entities that are in the trees. Many times, um, actually, there's a video out there too of one that I think a lot of people think is CGI, but it's not. Um, of an arm coming out of a tree, and this guy's seeing this jet black skinny arm, and it's not a raccoon. I'm sorry, it's nothing close to that. And I'm filming this stuff as well of these jet black arms coming out of trees, and it's weird, and I don't know how to. Let me maybe I have more room if I do this. Sorry for not being the greatest uh, host or whatever, but so he has arms like this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Coming out.
Yep.
Or they have an arm like this coming out of the tree or around the
Yeah.
tree. And I think what it is symbolic. What I'm getting at is that what's in the trees and what's in the forest are not all. There's a lot. There's harmless ones. There's good spirits, and there's evil spirits that will do you harm.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's pretty much is to be wise about what you're doing when you're out in the woods and be fully protected and all that one can. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's a reason why our ancestors, whether Christians are called prayed up, or indigenous populations would have ceremonial rites and rituals and certain prayers or commune to the creator God and all that, and then going into
Right.
the forest, right? And
Yep.
as for proper protection, all that. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. And if you have just the slightest bit, slightest bit of spirituality in you at all, to tap into that when you're going out in the woods. I think it's a
Right.
very smart idea. In fact, I can guarantee this one thing: if you call upon the Lord of all spirits, and you do it with great passion and vigor, and not just do it, in a half-ass, you know, 30-second or even a 1 minute, gibberish nonsense, but really get into it, and you call
Yeah.
upon the Lord of all spirits, you're going to see spirits, and you're going to see
Right.
all sorts of other things. If you guys really want to start filming stuff,
Yep.
I discovered that's really. And by the way, it's not something that's religious, and it's not
No.
uniquely, say, like a Western or Christian concept. It's what all cultures did for thousands of years, and all medicine men and all medicine women and all elders and wise men and sages and all that. They all tell the same story, but for some reason, I know why it is. We have become so spiritually deadened from the Western civilization, education, and
Yeah.
culture that we've been raised with. And this is the reason why a lot of people don't want to hear me when I start being honest about what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
As they
Right.
all think I'm, anti-American and anti this and all that. And I'm like, listen, man, just being honest about what's really going on, man, because we're dealing with something that's multidimensional. It's not and ultra
Right.
dimensional, and it's not just something you label it and just the flesh and woo or the flesh and blood thing or whatever. It's deeper, way beyond anything that they're trying to put us in. So I think it's
Right.
really smart to have a conscious connection with you, and I'm not telling you to do anything religious or believe in any particular whatever. Just
No, I follow you.
you know what I'm saying. So if you have like
Yeah.
even the slightest notion of a creator, is to have it in the back of your mind when you're out there.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
One
See,
of the things that will do, it will give you some strength, to add additional strength to do, and
absolutely.
you know what I mean. I just want to try to
Yeah.
do that. I mean, because I think that, and by the way, that's not uniquely Michael Adams. This,
Yeah.
there's old hats that will tell you the same thing in secret.
Oh yeah.
They
Yeah.
think they can't
Well, I
talk. They can't talk about in shows like this. But listen, this is big. This, what I'm hoping when I have my brothers in arms, and when I have brothers in arms and Bigfoot research, that everything's open. There's
yeah.
no. This is not a show in which I don't care about ratings. I don't care about numbers. What I care about is the truth.
Right.
That's what I care about. You
And
know what I
that's
mean?
what I have written on my front page. It's the same thing. Basic. It's almost like what you have written. I'm here to put it out and help get the truth out. And like you talk about speaking to whatever higher power you have, I do it off camera. And I usually spend about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's driving there. And then when I get out, I do it outside the truck and I speak to them. I talk to them loudly. And then I'll go ahead, when I'm finished, I'll fire the camera up and then I'll go in. But I let them know I'm there. And even though I know they know I'm there well before I get there, I still do it out loud, and I say a prayer out loud. I don't say it in my mind all alone, but I do it all, and then I'll fire the camera up and go in, and then I talk to them. I've just started doing it more, but I'll talk to them as I'm traveling down the path, or if I get into a certain area that I don't feel comfortable, I'll start talking to them.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's just a hypothetical question that you'll never know until you go through the experience and come out the other side in one piece. But what if what they're doing is testing you, one, two, uh, teaching you to face some of your fear? Does that
I
make
think
sense?
right now, yeah, I think right now I'm being put to the test. I think that the incident that I had a video or two back where I was at the second gifting spot, I locked up and I couldn't move, and my ears started ringing, and I knew they were there. I knew something was there. I couldn't put. I was so I was so scared I couldn't move. I literally my whole body just locked down, and I never had that feeling before. And it wasn't that I feared for my life. It was just an experience that I've never experienced before. I never gone through that type of emotion, and um,
And so
I
this
had
is
to
like
keep.
an opportunity to face your fear and learn how to put your trust in the Lord of all spirits and the guiding spirits that are with you. Is there a possibility in that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think I guess what I'm getting at, that's a part of the journey in doing this is all of us needs to face our fears,
yeah.
unseen and unseen. You know what I mean? And how to go about it and who to put your trust in. So I just I wonder if that's part of the gig. Not only to
I
teach,
think so.
because I don't think you know how do I say this? is it really beneficial and good for us to say, oh, well, this is an area I cannot go into? Like we don't have,
I,
or if we don't during the day, we don't have authority to go in the spot. Um, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. So it's like, well, I guess the only way to really know if they're really warning you against something is by facing it and seeing what's on the other side, right?
right,
So
right.
it's just, and it seems to be something that constantly is going on with us, right? You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah,
We're having all these different things thrown at you. It's not just, and people like, I don't understand if you're not like involved in this stuff and you're like watching a guy tromping around the woods and looking at, broken branches and, you know, and, and there's nothing there. But you're sensing things, right,
oh
Will?
yeah,
You're
oh
sensing
yeah,
things, you're seeing things that normal eyes and the normal person cannot sense. And so they'll never be able to understand this until they
yeah.
go
And
through what they
there's
go through. So I really do think that there's a huge part of all that we're dealing with is some kind of, in a way, shamanic ritual, a spiritual ritual, a ritual that leads us closer to the creation and the creator and the magnitude, the, the magnificence of this creation, right? But
yeah,
I think that it's just like anything else when it comes to truth. Um, when you discover new truth, especially when it goes contrary to everything you were told, against your worldview and what everyone else says you are supposed to believe, and then you
right,
could have enough courage to say, I can no longer live the lie. I think this is a big part of what we are dealing with. When we step
yeah,
into greater truth, there's going to be a lot of pushback spiritually, psychologically, and people around us and other forces. And you have to be able to develop. They talk about the thick skin, and I'm not saying you don't have them because you have your own personal life experiences demonstrates you do have quite a level of it. But I'm talking about something deeper now that all of us have to go through.
hmm,
Does that make sense? It's a
yeah.
deeper, more. It's more than philosophical, and it's more than psychological. It's a spiritual thing that's going on. All right.
And I think they're building us up to that. The ones that are able to see and envision, and like you're saying, some people can't see anything at all, and then people like you and I and LIB and Linda G. There's a lot of us that can, but the ones that can't right now, if you pour just a smooth bit of what you or I've seen in the last week, it's liable to give them a nervous breakdown opposed to, but see, that's where I believe we all have the same power, but you just got to know how to, I guess, bring it out or handle it or use it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like we all have the same ability. It's just a matter on how you put your hands on it and how you're able to bring it out of yourself, I guess. It's kind of like the third eye thing. You follow me?
Yeah, it's ultra dimensional and spiritual in nature. And
Yeah.
every time you think you got this nailed, something's going to come around the corner to challenge everything that you think.
Yep.
Right? And I can
Yep.
guarantee you, the more I pursue the truth, it's a funny thing. And, hopefully, like, Will, you and I are still friends 2 years, 3 years from now. That's my hope. Uh,
Oh, we
uh,
will. We
but,
will.
at the same token, I also understand how this gig works. And the more you pursue, because I believe truth leads to the creator, right? The
Yep.
creator, the source of and the more you pursue the truth, you it's a lonely journey. It's a lonely warriors. It's part of the warrior's journey. The hero's journey is pursuing the truth, right? And
Yep.
all its facets. So the truth is, you discover, okay, Bigfoot's real. Tree structures are real. And there's dogmen are real. The elemental spirits are real. Um, things are living in the trees that are spiritual in nature, that live off the life force of the trees. And
Yep.
we are just scratching the surface of the
Oh, yeah.
ultimate wisdom. And it's a weird thing because here, like your dude is a hunter, and And I'm just a blue collar guy. Although I went to university and all that jazz, and and I have a scientific background. I mean, most of my life is pretty much doing laborer's work, like designing nature trails or doing one thing and another. Worked for the
Yeah.
railroad. Just I was in forest firefighter for a while in Northern California. I've done a lot of just
Wow.
whatever. And my point in being all that is that we're just average Joes. We're not
Yeah.
guys that have been reared from childhood to become the next generation of shamans and spiritual leaders and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think it's anything about that. I think what we're dealing with is something that's a sacred ritual and rites that is being in a way forced on us, whether we like it
Yep.
or not. So we either have a couple choices. Either we could fight it, we can deaden ourselves by just following the group, or we can go, as they say, go with the flow and go with the spirit and let it take us where it will take us. And it's going to
Right.
take us to some pretty damn bizarre places, but that's only because of our own ignorance. We have no
Yeah.
idea what we're dealing with. And we have a lot of people that don't know what they're dealing with either, or acting like they're experts. And I hope
Oh yeah.
you hear this over and again, no one's an expert. That's not the right way of saying it. Because you are an expert. Each and every one of us is an expert of our own personal experience, our own life.
Yep.
You are an expert. And when it comes to, cryptids and Bigfoot and listen, those are just generic terms to label things. We like to label everything, right? But the
Yep.
fact of the matter is we're dealing with something so much bigger.
Oh
It's so
yeah.
much more cooler, by the way, when you let it be that. You
Yep.
know what I mean? So much more amazing. So,
Yeah.
um, and I'm sorry to get on this soapbox, but it's like I can't help it.
No, you're fine.
I can't
You're
help it, man.
good. I.
It's just true. I mean, it's that we're doing something that's
Oh
amazing.
yeah. Yep.
By the way, your image here that you filmed is absolutely amazing too. The number of entities. When are you gonna get your new camera?
Oh, any day. I'm biting at the bit. I
What
can't
are you
wait.
getting? What are you getting?
It's a Sony. I'd have to get the paper. I'm not. I was explaining to you earlier. I'm not an electronic guy. I was told what to get and I ordered it.
Cam cameras so you can take stills and make videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's digital. And then it has the fold out. It looks like a regular digital camera, but the screen folds out, opens up. You can watch it from either side of the camera. And it's
What kind of
I
cell
think
phone are
it's
you using here? Is this an Android?
no, it's an iPhone 13
Okay.
Pro, I guess.
I used to take images like this back in 2017 until I got my P900 and 2017 and part of 18. And some of these older digital cell phones actually have amazing images they produce, right?
Yeah.
But they also it's as far as like detailed images, they suck. They suck at that as far as you're really getting a detailed like well in my backdrop there you can see the guys how much the difference where I'm my backdrop you can see the images behind me and how much more detailed with the
Oh
P900
yeah.
digital cameras compared to cell phone.
Hmm.
Saying that, I wanted to notice a lot of these cell phones, once you can start to register between pareidolia and the, the spirits that are in it, this image, I would bet my left testicle on. That's what I like to say. That this is full of spirits,
Oh yeah.
chock
Oh yeah.
full of spirits. I can just, and they're stacking up and they're all over the place. And it's not just pareidolia. I mean, you can just see, like, there's a brown face right here, right? And you can
Yep.
see this green man right here. The green man. I can show you a great image someday of a green man. But I can tell that's the green man. That's not Lee's. And
Yeah.
so when you filmed this, is this something that you sensed there was something there, or did one of your followers send you an image?
I get a little bit of both, but I do a lot of pointing. I'll go in and something will just draw me.
and I'll say, "Look at that," and you'll see me point out to it, and I go, and a lot of times you'll catch me just looking at a dark area, and I'll have to sit on it a second. And what I mean by second, 5, 10 seconds, and I'll go, I think I see something there. And then, but there's other times when I can go in without looking through the camera, and I can just pinpoint stuff with my naked eye, and it happens more so than not.
Yeah, it's funny how it works. When you see it, you can't film it. You're not ready to film it, and when you don't see it, you film it. It's funny.
Yeah,
There's a big dude right here. Look at that. You can see his eyes.
yeah.
He looks like
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to my comments. Like over a half hour ago, everybody just disappeared. I apologize, everybody, for the ones that are here. I can't tell if you're who's here and who isn't. I was seeing some comments, but I can't chew gum and walk, so I apologize.
well,
But
it's really difficult to have a conversation. And I know if people get really frustrated, and those are still sticking it out. It's really
yeah,
hard for me to be responding to the things, but we do value your comments. That's for sure.
yes, I do. Yep,
I know what is
I
happening.
appreciate it.
I think what you're saying is I need to start posting these things on here. Now, can you see it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's Linda
I,
G.
I
Yep,
I have to do this manually.
Janelle.
See, that's the problem, folks. I have to do all these comments manually up there on the screen while I talk to him, while look at images, while I try to focus on him, and
How
it's
about How about if we do this? If it's okay with you, I'll just announce to my followers and yours that if you guys want to do like a Q&A tomorrow or the next night, I'll get on and I'll start answering some questions about what we talked about tonight, me and Mike. And if there's
well,
anything that I missed,
if you got
you
time,
know,
I can even ask. Do you still want to carry on, or are you ready to pack in, or what do you want to do?
um, I
Well,
can stay on about another 5 minutes, and then I got to let my wife call. She's a bus driver, and I got to let her go down before
okay.
she
Yeah,
had,
okay. Because
she
I
pulls
can
out.
also have people. I can invite people here in the chat to come on and talk to you as well. Now, so either way, so okay. So where we're going with all this. So you had an experience in 2018. You've seen all sorts of like little people type things.
Hmm.
You have a lot of experience in the outdoors. You just had some dreams that and something that's revealing something to, or somebody's trying to say something to you, or
I
you
got
know,
somebody's trying to say something to me. I've got a spirit following me around. I believe it's a female, and I'm smelling perfume and the same perfume at two different locations. And it just started happening to me a couple weeks ago. And it happened to me at my property, and then it happened to me at the public land. And it actually creeps me out, worse than anything I've ever seen with my eyes.
once again, I just realized I didn't show on any of these images. Go more. Keep on going, man.
It,
Keep
well,
going.
and the I've been talking to a couple of my subs about it, and actually, one of my subs seems to think it's a stuck spirit. It's a female spirit that's trying to get pretty much asking for my help to to pass on or go to the light, and which I'm willing. I'm on board to do whatever I have to do to help that spirit. And
Jeez, the number of you see the number of images that I filmed of females in the trees. I
yeah,
just posted a
yeah,
video about that. Just another one of a woman, and I think you got a point there.
yep.
I think that a
I
lot
see.
of something happens to a lot of people. Let's think, if the trees are really like what I say they are like a highway between the underworld, the middle world, and the upper world, and people getting stuck in it. I think you
Hmm.
might be right. They're stuck in it. And I think somehow they need to be released from these trees. And that sounds really bizarre.
Well,
But
if
go
you
ahead.
ever listen to me when I'm walking or if I'm doing a little bit of research or when I'm researching, if you ever notice all my conversations are about trees. And I've known about trees all my life. I know a lot of different species of trees and so forth. And I don't know some of the things I do say though. I've never been told or taught, and I'll say it and then I'll remember or I'll do my review of my footage and then I have to go and look it up because I don't know where I got it from. So something's coming through me certain
Oh yeah,
times. Yeah. And
absolutely.
it's crazy.
Well, because that's what this is all about. I mean, the common denominator in all this is trees. I mean,
Yep.
there's people that out in the plains know they don't have a lot of trees, but and still have encounters. But for most of us, we're dealing with on the edge of the forest, in the forest, we're dealing with trees, and you know
Yep.
what I mean. And these things are
That's
popping out of the
real.
trees, coming out of the trees, being showing up, and there's that. I there's it is the common denominator, and I do believe it's a form of it's a highway, if you will, and it's like a
Sure.
battery that allows these things to manifest and charge and live off of. And then there's the Robert Monroe and his whole idea of the loosh and how a lot of these entities live off flesh and blood, sentient beings like human beings or trees and that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's very complicated conversation, and we just this is our chance. A lot of times we do, and hopefully you're willing to come back. We're
Sure.
breaking ground and
Yep.
bread together and getting to know each other. But the next time we'll get in deeper about stuff and just get to know
Yeah.
you, the person, right? And
Yep. We definitely need to do a part two.
yeah, we'll definitely do that. I would want to. Like I said, there's no way to even get to know a person or what they're really going through. And if you think you got it figured out, and this is not a cult of personality type of show, I'm not here to win you over or think you're the greatest person. I'm not.
No, no, no. But I can
They
tell you
suck
this when
in
I
a
come.
lot of ways. But you know what? The one thing is I really want to know the truth, and I want to know the truth about you and your experience because our experiences overlap and we're very similar
Sure.
in many ways, and we're going down the similar path, and we're going to help each other out. All of us can help each other out
Sure.
as far as this journey goes. And so tell everybody how they can find you once again. There's of course it's in the information box for the show as far as the YouTube channel, but tell us more about you. What's coming up?
Well, I got a lot of new. I got like three new farms that I'm getting ready to start investigating or researching. I just talked to another Maryland guy that has a channel, a Sasquatch channel, or I guess it's more so about Bigfoot. He's really not that far from me. He's probably like about 15 miles um, from the Eastern Shore location that I own,
Uh,
and he uh he has like 400 some acres, and apparently, I think it's something like that. Don't quote me on it. It's between 2 and 400. I know it's a nice farm, and apparently his grandfather. It goes back years and years, all the way back to his grandparents. They were having sightings and seeing orbs, and now he's doing his own research, and he wants to link up with me, and we're getting ready to start doing some night investigations.
okay.
So within the next couple weeks, I'm hoping to get up with him, and I'll get you some names and get more accurate with who I'm talking about. You see that image there at the bottom of that big tree, dead center? That's a woman.
Right here.
Over to your right more. Right there. Now go up. Yeah, right there. That's the face. That's the eyes. That's the mouth. That's the head. Yep. That what I think is a female Sasquatch. See that black line down through the middle of its face? That's what they use. That's part of their language. That's a tool. That's what do you call it? They call it something. God, right now I'm brain dead. Um
Not a
it's a
signal.
staff.
Oh, staff.
It's yep.
Yeah.
And you see the hair, her hair is almost parted on one side to the left, and her eyes are kind of squinched up, almost alien type. But she has like long feathery, her hair's long and it's parted, but she is big. She's taking up way past the bottom part of the trunk of the tree. That being's probably 10, 11 foot tall, but it's sitting down.
Okay, I'm trying to make sure I'm looking at. Is this one of our eyes right here?
No,
Or these two
that's
eyes?
those
These
two right there. And the one you picked a second ago is I think either a juvenile or her mate peeking around her.
Right here.
Yep, yep. They are big, big beings back there. Big.
So this is right here. Okay.
Yep.
This
That's
is,
what I think is cloaking. That's what I consider cloaking. You see how she's part of the tree?
yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot going on in this in this picture.
Oh yeah.
There's a ton going on in this picture that we could spend a half an hour just breaking down easily.
And then there's another one back here. Yep.
There's a dude right here. You can even see his teeth.
Yep.
They're
I think
stacking
that's
up.
a male.
They
Yep.
stack. This is what they call TP or toteming.
Totem pole. Yep.
It's totem. And is this the one with the guy over here? No, that's a different. So yeah, some good stuff, man. I don't want to hold you out till you say you have to work or take care of your wife. So let's do it again, man. Let's do it in a couple of weeks. Hey guys, everyone, thank you for being part of the sharing the journey. So what have we learned a little bit about? Dreams are associated with Bigfoot research. Certain sensations can be associated with it. After having, or even before having encounters, a lot of times people have other kind of supernatural experiences, or like little people, like you and my big brother had that experience. We'll see. What else we're going to say? With signs and symbols, eyes, coloration of eyes seems to be an adaptive, something adaptive, or something that at least it reflects kind of what's the environment around them. So in the fall, it seems to be more of a certain type of color, and then in summer maybe more green. I mean, I've ones that I've had the green eyes I filmed, right, or the one that I saw firsthand, right, with the brown eyes that look just like the bark of the tree. Then I had another one that's gray eyes. It looked as dead could be.
Wow.
And it reflects just like, in fact, in the beginning of this show, and if you guys go back and that last quarter of that intro, I show, I think, 3 of my images, and you'll see one of, you'll see it. There's clear as day that there are quote unquote Sasquatches that I filmed. What else do we have? What else do we talk about? Maryland, and then we didn't, we talked a lot about a lot, but we kind of just went all over the place, didn't we? But that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to do anyways when you first meet a person. You can just like, but dreams, sensations, encounters, signs, your life will never be the same again. Dogmen and Bigfoot. Damn, there's something else we were talking about. Anyways, well, thank you for everything. Thank you for giving me this chance.
Thank you for the invite, man. You blew me away. I'm so grateful that you reached out to me, man. It's and the things that we can relate to. It just blew my mind. This was an awesome experience, and I want to thank all of my subs that come on tonight, and your subs, and everyone else. Thank you so much for coming on with us. This has been a wonderful experience, and I'll get with you guys and anybody who has any questions tomorrow or whenever it's feasible. Just whenever you want to talk about it, let me know, or what you want to talk about. And hopefully I can get up with you, Mike, again for like a part 2 or even part 3, whatever.
Oh yeah, always. I honestly think you have to do multiple shows to even understand where the other person's at and where they come from and their experiences. Because you know what? It's like it's trying to put the pieces together. It's like you're okay. Before we go, let's just go back to the 5-second encounter that seemed like a lifetime, right? 5 seconds. Yes. But was it during that time? And the time has time stood still literally since then?
Yeah.
Spiritually it has, but physically and everything else, you're still living your life. So the truth of the matter, it's a lot of what we're dealing with is we're rehearsing over and over again that 5 seconds, trying to reconcile and understand and and put the pieces together to make sense of what that 5 seconds were, because it's this multifaceted experience that apparently we're not allowed to talk about in a lot of Bigfoot circles. You're not allowed to talk about the spiritual side. You have to call it woo.
Yep.
And the psychological side. And then there's so many different sides to it. It's like 5 seconds is packed, you know, it's like a lifetime is packed into 5 seconds trying to reconcile it. So, and it destroys your worldview. I mean, that's a big deal right there. Your worldview is shattered those 5 seconds.
Agree.
It's, I mean, and the people, it's a shame that counselors, there's not enough counselors out there that have their own Bigfoot experiences. They would, you know, there'd be a lot of money to be made for them. So anyway, all right, brother, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, man. And like I said, we'll get together again. I really appreciate this time and this opportunity.
Yeah, man, anytime. And anybody else, by the way, wants to join me and talk this kind of way and really talk in depth, and it's not just, you know, like Brown Dwarf, you want to get together. Of course, Long Island. There's a few other folks who are in there. There's a few guys that I've asked already that have been with us. Sheldon, thank you for being my right-hand man.
Thanks, Sheldon.
Thanks for being my right-hand man and being there for me, buddy. And with that, everybody, may the Lord of all spirits bless you mightily, 1,000,000 times more than ever blessed me, each and every one of you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.